Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is September 16th, 2025. I want to say thank you for watching. I've enjoyed all the comments. My apologies for the slow pace of videos lately between work, family, and some health issues. I have been very busy. But I hope you will like the video, hope you will subscribe, and please leave your comments down below. Want to get to today's topic. The topic is hate speech legal? Now, historically, or I should say in recent history, the last several years, the left has very much been pushing the idea that hate speech is illegal. You are not allowed to say that you hate people. That argument is predicated on the notion that the left would, of course, control who determined what is hate speech and what is not. Now, what we see is the Trump administration very aggressively pursuing an idea of using hate speech as a way to police speech that they don't like. So now it's coming from the right. This will be a shock to many people on the left because, and I really mean this sincerely, their assumption was that it would only be people like them who controlled it. Now you're seeing people on the right starting to try to do it. I will tell you that they are both very, very wrong. Hate speech is 100% legal in the United States. That is not an opinion, that is fact. In fact, let me go so far as to give you some examples of that. But before I do, I want to tell you what our Attorney General Pam Bondi said. She said, quote, this is in the last day or so, there's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society. We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech. Up until 5 minutes ago, this was a Democrat viewpoint. This is now a MAGA viewpoint because MAGA is controlling the levers of government. They have the power, and so they want to use hate speech to persecute people that they do not like, they do not agree with. By the way, if you support hate speech laws, you need to understand this. Somebody that you hate, someone with views that are the complete polar opposite of yours, will inevitably gain control of the censorship, and they will use those censorship laws against you and against people that you like and agree with. You will be censored. Your side will be censored under hate speech. But nonetheless, let's go to the point of the video, which is that hate speech is in fact legal. Let's take an examination of some Supreme Court cases. The first one I want to start with is one called Terminelio v. Chicago. It's from 1949. Long story short, you had a defrocked Catholic priest who was kicked out of the church. He became a radical anti-Semite, gave all kinds of inflammatory speeches. Oh, sorry. He was then arrested and prosecuted under a law that banned riotous speech. The Supreme Court overturned his conviction. Justice William O. Douglas wrote for a 5-4 court that freedom of speech is protected against censorship or punishment unless shown likely to reduce a clear and present danger of serious substantive evil that rises far above public inconvenience, annoyance, or unrest. There is no room under our Constitution for a more restrictive view. So, right there, 1949, they pretty much laid out a very high standard and say it cannot get any tighter than that. But the Supreme Court continued on. 1969, Brandenburg v. Ohio. This was about a KKK case. A KKK member named Clarence Brandenburg had been arrested on syndicalism charges on the idea that KKK was engaging in speech recommending the overthrow of the government. A unanimous court found in Justice William Brennan's opinion that, quote, the constitutional guarantees of free speech and free press do not permit a state to forbid or proscribe advocacy of the use of force or law violation except when such advocacy is directed to inciting or producing imminent, keyword imminent, lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. So they've laid out, they basically said you can call for the violent overthrow of the government and it is legal as long as you're not calling for it imminently and there is not a likelihood that it will actually incite such an action. I remember studying this one in law school in my con law class. Okay, next one up is going to be Nationalist Socialist Party v. Skokie. This is from 1977. National Socialists, for those of you who do not know, that is the Nazi Party. Nazi Party is a socialist party and they're nationalistic. So, all right. So basically in this one, a suburban city of Skokie had a large population of Holocaust survivors, and the Nazis wanted to hold a march. And so what the city said is you cannot wear Nazi uniforms, you cannot display swastikas. The Seventh Court of Appeals upheld a lower ruling that the Skokie ban was unconstitutional. The case goes up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court left the Seventh District's ruling in place. So ultimately, the Nazis got their right to march. This is kind of what leads into the joke. If you ever saw the Blues Brothers of Illinois Nazis, I hate Illinois Nazis. This is kind of where it comes from. They ended up eventually canceling the march for other reasons. But the basic point is that the Supreme Court said that even in a town with a large population of Holocaust survivors, under free speech, you have a right to display a swastika and wear a Nazi uniform. Now, next one would be RAV versus City of St. Paul. In 1990, sorry, this is 1992 case. Someone burned a cross on the lawn of a African American couple. It was ultimately in a unanimous ruling written by Justice Scalia. The court, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. I apologize. I'm a little tired today. There was an ordinance saying that you could not do that. The ordinance said that you couldn't ban symbols that arouse anger, alarm, or resentment in others on the basis of race, color, creed, religion, or gender. So we're getting much more close to the modern definition of hate speech. In a unanimous ruling written by Justice Scalia, that ordinance was deemed to be excessively broad. Citing the Terminello case, he wrote that displays containing abusive invective, no matter how vicious or severe, are permissible unless they are addressed to one of the specified disfavored topics. So basically, yes, as a general rule, you can do that. Next one, Virginia v. Black, 2003. 11 years later, there was a 5-4 ruling. This was written by Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. As she puts in, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. This had to do with cross burning, which 3 people were arrested for. Virginia had put in place a ban on cross burning. Justice O'Connor writes, a state may choose to prohibit only those forms of intimidation that are most likely to inspire fear of bodily harm. So there it has to have, the most likely, highest likelihood of inspiring a fear of bodily harm. Anything short of that is protected under free speech. Last one, which is one I'm probably the least familiar with, is Snyder v. Phelps. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. This is the one about the Westboro Baptist Church, where they basically got sued. They showed up at the funeral of a dead soldier, and they protested. It was in like 2005 or 2006. He was a soldier who had been killed in Iraq. And they got sued the family sued Westboro. In an 8-1 ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld Westboro's right to picket. While acknowledging that Westboro's contributions to public discourse may be negligible, Chief Justice John Roberts' ruling rested in existing U.S. hate speech precedent. Simply put, this is a quote, simply put, the church members had a right to be where they were. So basically, a whole series of efforts have been made to outlaw hate speech in one form or another. All of them have failed. The Supreme Court has been very clear on this now for, we're going back to 1949, 80 years. Hate speech is protected. You're allowed to say you hate people. You're allowed to brandish racist, sexist symbols, things like that. You are absolutely allowed to say that you think the government of the United States should be destroyed or overthrown by violent means, things like that. There are some limitations on it. They are very, very specific and very, very controlled. But the point of it is, hate speech is legal. And in my opinion, we should thank God for that. Because the moment we say it's illegal, then the person who gets to decide what hate speech is the person who gets to decide what you get to say and what you don't get to say. They also get to decide what everyone else gets to say and what everyone else doesn't get to say. That sounds like a great idea when you assume that the person making the decision is more or less going to see the world the same way you do. If you are on the left, imagine if that person is J.D. Vance. Think about what that's going to look like. If you're on the right, imagine it's AOC or Elizabeth Warren, and imagine what that looks like. This power, once it is ensconced in the federal government, will be wielded sooner or later. Maybe it's next month, maybe it's next year, maybe it's 10 years from now. But sooner or later, the other side of the political party, of the political aisle, that you don't like, that you don't agree with, that scares you, is going to have that power. And the person who is going to want that power the most is the person who wants to use it. It is not going to be someone saying, no, I will take it only because I don't want to use it. It's going to be someone saying, I want it, because there are people saying things that I don't like, and I want to go after them. And sooner or later, the person who gets that power is going to go after either you or somebody that you like. I understand why people think this is a good idea to have hate speech laws, but I am telling you, I am promising you, I am a historian. Before I was an attorney, I was a historian. The history of censorship is clear. Censors expand the range of their censorship. And here's the other thing to remember. Forget all the politics. Let's assume you're the censor and you censored everybody that you thought needed to be censored. How do you justify your paycheck at that point? You have to find somebody else to censor. So even if somehow you've gotten rid of all the speech you don't like, you still have to find someone to censor, which means you now have to come up with new things that you don't like and new things that should be censored, because otherwise you're going to work yourself out of a job. The only way to keep getting paid is to keep finding people to censor. So I will strongly urge everyone, do not support anti-hate speech laws. And by the way, they are grossly and obviously unconstitutional through substantial Supreme Court precedent. Thank you.